Peace, peace. It's the intentionalist one. And I'm gonna do this video on the Maroons, right? And I got this video actually from Chief Holiday. Um, but I found some addition. I was researching and I found something that's real. I found to be very crazy. Alright, so I'm gonna just go on this or whatever. Definitely shout out to the brother Chief Holiday for even giving me the idea of this. Alright, so Maroon. Alright, so we in an etymology dictionary. Alright. So we got maroon. Now, very reddish brown color. 1791 from French, maroon. They say from French maroon, chestnut, large sweet chestnut, southern Europe, maroons, and since was used in English in 1590 from the dialect of Lyons, ultimately from the word Roman language, perhaps Ligurian, or from Greek moron, sweet chestnut. I guess that's how you pronounce it, moron. That's how it looked like it's pronounced. All right, so sweet chestnut. All right, so then you got maroon, the verb. Say put ashore, desolate island or coast. 1724. It say imply mooring. Say earliest to be lost in the wild. 1690 from Maroon. Say fugitive black slaves in the jungle of West Indies and Dutch Guyana. 1660s. Earliest 1620 from French Maroon, said to be corrupt Spanish cimarrones. Wow. Untamed old Spanish cimarron ticket. I guess ticket. Probably from summit tide, so etc. Alright, so you see where it's coming from. So alright, so right here say put ashore a desolate island. 1724. Now it's not saying anywhere in here, anywhere in these definitions that these people came from Africa, right? Now, what I find to be real funny on this, right? Because when you, alright, let me just get one of the articles up. Let me see. This one. Let me see. I think it's this one. Let me read this one. I'm gonna read this one. I got another couple articles. All right. So, hold up. Matter of fact, no, this ain't the one I'm looking for. Let's see. Alright, I don't know which one to go to, the Wikipedia. No, I'm gonna stick with this one. Alright, so the Maroons of Jamaica. The Maroons was escaped slaves. They ran away from the Spanish-owned plantation. Alright, so now it's telling you they ran away from the Spanish-owned plantation. So it's saying that the Spanish was there first. We already know. The West Indies or Jamaica is right next to the island of Espanol. All them islands are right there, and they went to all them islands, all right? But what you see is to say the British took the Caribbean island of Jamaica from Spain in 1655. It said the word maroon come from the Spanish. So the Spanish are the people who gave them that term. It say word Cimarroons, it say, which meant mountaineers. It say they fled to the mysterious area of Jamaica where it was difficult for their owners to follow and catch them, and formed an independent communities as free men and women. Now understand that they saying that where these people could not catch them, how would people that came from Africa know how to get into certain areas? Now look, this right here, the definition is not saying slaves that was bought from Africa, took into the West Indies, and then escaped, and then they turned maroon. It's not even saying that, and the history is very vague. I'm going to show you something else that I found doing this research, all right? So it says, as more slaves. Now remember, they want you to think that the slaves were Africans. We know that the slaves was Aborigines. They was indigenous people, all right? So it says, as more slaves were imported from Africa to work on a developing sugar plantation, the African population, enslaved African, grew on Jamaica. There was more rebellion. They saying more rebellions because they was bringing more people. They say by the slave. They say some of the rebellion slaves disappeared to the mountains, joined the Maroon communities as the Maroon population grew. The Jamaican government decided to defeat the Maroons once and for all. They were seen as a constant threat by the government. It say the First Maroon War began in 1721. The campaign against them made the Maroons more determined than ever under their leader called Cujo. It say the Maroons fought back in 1739. The British and the Maroons made peace. The freedom of the Maroons was reconsidered and their land was given to them. It say the Maroons were to govern themselves. In return, they would support the British government, it say, in Jamaica against any foreign invasions and would help capture rebel slaves and run away from plantation and return them to their owners. Say, although this agreement might seem strange, it was one way for the Maroons to live in peace on the island of the government. All right, so you see what they had to resort to, kept capturing their own people on the island. All right, so it's a picture here. It's is a drawing entitled pacification with the Maroon Negroes. All right, boom. So there you go, right there. They calling them Negroes. All right, but I'm quite sure. Understand this. I'm quite sure that term was already there when the Spanish got there. They're not trying to tell you that they called them Maroon Negro. See, they would use this history so confusing to where you will have to you'll be real confused about how they use it, because they use a lot of these words interchangeable. For 1 minute you thinking Maroons mean this, and then they say Maroons mean this, and then they try to tell you, oh, the Maroons came from Africa. Then they telling you, oh, now the Maroons are Negroes, and that's what I'm saying. They use a lot of different things going on. Now check this out. We're gonna go down a little bit, all right? So I was saying, so it is imagination view of the meeting between British soldiers and Maroons. It's not clear whether it is meant to be 1739 or 1795 peace agreement. The leader of the Maroons did meet British officers to accept the peace agreement offered to him. It said there were many years of peace between the Maroons and the British in Jamaica, but in 1795 the new governor of Jamaica, Balcarres, it said decided to deal with some minor breaches of the peace treaty by the community of the Maroons called the Telani Town Maroons. It said the plantation owner asked the governor not to take action. They felt that an agreement should be reached with the Maroons to maintain the peace of the town. The governor went ahead against his advice, arresting several of the leaders of Talani Town. Then check it out. Check this out. Alright, so he's saying he went on despite the fact that they had the treaty. They say this started the Second Maroon War. 300 Maroons in Talani Town held against 1,500 troops, they say, and 3,000 local volunteer troops. After 5 months of fighting, the undefeated Maroons was offered another agreement for peace. When they surrendered their arms, the governor cheated on the peace agreement again. They offered. They say the Maroons was arrested against the agreement. It say they had accepted. It say and were transported off to the island of Nova Scotia on the east coast of North America. It say and later went to Sierra Leone. Now check this shit out, right? Check this out. Now let me read that again, alright? So it say that this started the Second Maroon War. 300 Maroons in Talani Town held out against 1,500 troops and 3,000 local volunteer troops. After 5 months of fighting, the undefeated Maroons were offered an agreement for peace. When they surrendered their arms, the governor cheated on the peace agreement offered. The Maroons were arrested, and against the agreement they had accepted, they were transported off to the island of Nova Scotia. Now, y'all don't know where Nova Scotia at, do y'all? But we're going to get into that. Check this shit out. It say on the east coast of North America. Okay? Nova Scotia. Nova meaning new. Scotia meaning Scotland. Okay? So now we can easily, for you want to debate that. Anybody want to come on here and challenge that. But check this out. We're going to keep this up here. Nova Scotia. I'm going to keep this up here. Let me see. Alright, there you go. Alright, so we say Nova, meaning new. Let me see. not alright. So boom. Let me see base nodes. This might, let's say native inhabitant of Nova Scotia. Type. Alright, now that's a potato. Alright, so now it's saying no, but it's not even giving me Scotia. Let me see. Let's see if it's giving me Scotia. Alright, it's giving me Scotland. Alright, so it says Scotia up here. Let me see. Just give me a second, people. It say name for the Scots. It say who settled in Ireland. It said their name is unknown origin. See Scot. All right, so it say Latin Scots. Scotia begun to appear 9th century after the name of the region replaced in Caledonia, also named for the inhabitant at the time, whose names likely is unknown origin. So see what Scotia means. All right. So let's see where Nova Scotia is at. Let me see, is this it? Alright, but by the way, just touching on this, we're going to come across this part right here. Say a map of British and French dominions in North America with the roads, such and such settlements. It say the east of Halifax. Now Halifax is what they call Nova Scotia. We're going to run across this word again right here, right? Now, let me see something. Boom. Was it this one? No, it's this one. Alright, boom. So we see this. It say Nova Scotia. It say Latin, New Scotland, French. It say is one of Canada, okay? It's one of Canada maritime province, okay? And one of the 4 provinces